Hello, and welcome to the Magical Parenting Podcast. I'm Cristina Tumino, and today I'm going to talk about sameness. In my previous episode, I explained the meaning of uniqueness and why it's so important to understand what makes us unique. So I thought to explore now its opposite, sameness. Amongst the most common beliefs, there is a rooted mentality of educating children as if they were all the same. I would suggest that this idea of sameness started with the implementation of the modern education system. Let's take some steps back in history. The modern education system that is nowadays compulsory to everyone, where education is imparted in schools, was born in Europe between the 18th and 19th century. That is during the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. Sir Ken Robinson, a British author, speaker, and international advisor in education, also talks about this in one of his TED Talks entitled Changing Education Paradigms. The ideas dominating during the Age of Enlightenment were about the mind's capability, the faith in human abilities and human progress. With the increase of a new factory model and new industries, arose the demand for new roles to support the needs of these new systems. In fact, the revolutionary way to make goods in mass production required the division and specialization of the human labor to improve efficiency and productivity, as well as the use of new machinery and other equipment to deliver high quantities of identical products. It was a very innovative system indeed. So what a better way than educating people to support this? Therefore, education was a necessary tool to support the interests of these factories and the country's economy. Education was made available to everyone. In some way, it was great because many people became more literated. The structure of this new education system was made to meet the new demand and match the industrial model and image of that time, and education became standardized. Children were grouped by age, like batches of goods. An identical curriculum applied for each group, and children were tested and compared by marks. The system labeled them as smart, standard, or failure, making them ready for delivery into the market, a market of corporations that planned the education of their future employees, a mostly guaranteed job for those smart students. This is how it worked back then and pretty much hasn't changed since, although a job may not be so guaranteed as before. This mentality of standardizing and being considered and treated all the same, of an education being used as the mean to obtain a good job, a good salary, a good life, have grown its roots for more than 200 years. Many might say, but what's wrong with that? We have brought so much progress in the world. We can travel wherever we want. We have invented smartphones where we can communicate anywhere in the world through a screen. We can buy goods from our sofa. There are way more literate people than 200 years ago. We have made unimaginable discoveries and progress in so many fields: science, airspace, automobile, agriculture, hospitality, to don't even mention technology. We have achieved all this thanks to the great contribution of the education imparted in schools. That sounds great. However, I find interesting and quite worrying how all this progress exponentially increases at the same speed of the catastrophic decline of the planet's biodiversity, ecosystems, and the natural world in general, to don't even mention a more profound connection with nature and ourselves. This standardizing way of thinking is now even used within the family. And this is why nowadays we compare students, but we also compare our children to a parent or one another in case of siblings. In fact, many parents believe that one approach can be effective and considered acceptable for all their children, even if they know they're actually not the same. This idea of sameness leads to the concept of normal. Many parents might consciously or unconsciously hope to have normal children. That means standards, not problematic, better than someone else, or simply easier to handle. Sameness can also affect the way parents might perceive effective education. For instance, let's take a mom who says, I'm restrictive on this because I don't want my child to make my same mistake. With this statement, she's assuming that herself and her child are the same, although every individual, mom, child, dad, brother, sister, are instead unique. Under this perspective, what might seem to be, or it is, a mistake for that particular parent, according to his personality, experience, age, culture, and so on, might actually not be a mistake for his child. This is because we all have different perceptions, learning styles, ways of thinking, personality, ways of expressing ourselves, and attitudes. These can be very or entirely different to how parents and children are. On another note, on that parent statement, there is also a common belief that mistakes are negative experiences and we feel ashamed of making them. We need to avoid them. In reality, mistakes are an invaluable way to learn lessons. In fact, it works in the opposite way. Preventing people from making mistakes can hinder growth and achieving goals. What we should do instead is aim to do new mistakes, not repeating the same ones. That means that we're not really learning the lesson. But that's another story. The most interesting part is that many parents are not even aware of the concept of sameness. Some may not prefer to see it, although it might make sense to them, because it might require to take some undesirable actions. It might require change, the necessity to be honest and take on responsibility. And unfortunately, there is people that don't really like doing this, even if they say they do. Part of the problem, though, is not directly attributed to parents. This is probably the way they and their parents were raised, and how future children could too, if we don't become aware of the problems standardization and this sameness concept create to our children, our families, and future generations. As we standardize the way our children are raised and educated in schools, we flatten their personalities. We numb their souls, their uniqueness, their minds, because they need to all think in the same way. They all need to achieve the same kind of knowledge that was already set by somebody else. They struggle to discover themselves and understand who they are. The way to do this is by understanding your unique skills, by following your curiosity, learning to reason. Unfortunately, most children learn to live an image of themselves, a false image of themselves, and therefore becoming hard to live a meaningful life, to find direction, to find purpose. By bringing awareness and starting to see that we are all unique, and unique is the way that we should be educated, we can raise empowered children, resilient children, determined children, and responsible adults of tomorrow. With these lenses, we can realize that education needs urgently a revolutionary change, so our children can live meaningful lives and build a better society. I would like to leave you with a good exercise. Try to see in anything around you, in any kind of system around you that applies the concept of sameness, where things are standardized. How do they work? Do they actually work? I will help more with this in future episodes. So stay tuned and please put some comments below and share. I see you in the next episode. Bye.